What's happening, everyone? My name is Meharry. Welcome to the Mission of Medicine podcast.
Right.
Today we have
Ready?
another 3, 2, 1, action.
You know, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. It doesn't get better. It does not get better. No, it doesn't get better. No, because everyone's like, oh, does it get easier after this year, that year? Every year has its challenges. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Every year has its challenges. Like, first year is crazy because it's just like all these classes. Second year is crazy because you're in the lab like every night. Third year is crazy because it's just you're doing everything. You're in class, you're in clinic, you're doing group projects, you're starting to apply for residency, figuring out your life. And then fourth year is crazy because you're trying to get out. You're trying to finish things up. So every year has its challenges, but just know that like it's doable.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mission of Medicine. My name is Meharry. Today we have another special interview. Today I have my good friend Malik Walters, student Dr. Malik Walters. Yeah. He is from...
I am from the wonderful state of Maryland.
Okay. Just give him a little rundown, background about yourself.
Okay. What's going on, y'all? My name is Malik Walters. I am from Severn, Maryland. I attended University of Maryland, College Park for college. Currently, I am a fourth year dental student at Meharry Medical College, School of Dentistry here in Nashville, Tennessee. And in a couple of months, or really like at the end of this month, I'll be moving to Chicago to pursue residency at University of Illinois at Chicago.
I gotta say, man, congratulations, man.
Thank you.
I've seen Malik's journey from like the beginning of being pre-dent, pre-med, pre-dent. We can get into all of that because actually what's really interesting is Malik has been on Mission of Medicine before. Yeah. So about 4 or 5 years ago, Malik was on the channel and we had a sit down, and you can go back on the YouTube channel and see that video where he's like detailing his experience from switching from pre-med to pre-dent. It's such an inspiring story. He really goes into detail what led to that, and definitely go and check that out. We might talk about a little bit of those points here today in this interview as well.
Sounds good.
Yes. You ready for the first question?
I am.
All right. So what inspired you to pursue a career in dentistry, Malik?
Yeah, so that's actually a great question. When I started off in college, I was on the pre-med track, like you just mentioned. Yeah. But about halfway through college, I realized that I didn't have like an actual passion for medicine. I was kind of just doing it because that's all I knew. In high school, I was like, oh, I'm getting biology. And I grew up around several medical doctors. So in my mind, I was like, okay, I'll just become a medical doctor. And about halfway through college, I realized it's not what I truly wanted to do. And then one of my friends, Alicia, like she actually introduced me to dentistry, and I'll never forget. And at the time I thought it was weird, the idea of pursuing dentistry, because like the thought of like working in someone's mouth all day is not like something that most people want to do. Yeah. But I gave it a shot. I started shadowing, did my own research, and after a while, I just really, that passion that I was lacking in medicine, I found in dentistry. To put it simply, the whole idea of just changing a person's life through their smile alone, that in itself was enough for me to pursue it. So that's why I decided to pursue dentistry.
Respect. During that time of like contemplating of switching over, what were some of the things that you were kind of weighing outside of like, not working in somebody's mouth? Were there any other factors at play that was like, should I do this or not?
In a way, yes, because like I said, I, only knew medicine, or that was my plan for the longest while, being a pre-medical student going to medical school. So now it was just a matter of, okay, now this is a alternate like plan, and it's not something that you necessarily ever thought about. So that was kind of hard trying to really navigate and decide, okay, Malik, is this something that you are actually interested in, or are you just kind of doing it because it seems fascinating? Yeah, so that was something that I had to navigate.
Okay. And so coming from a PWI, because we attended University of Maryland College Park, Malik and I are very similar with our like education history. We went to predominantly PWIs, like predominantly white institutions for most of our lives. Yeah. But here at Meharry, it's an HBCU.
It is.
And so what was that transition like, starting from a PWI and now attending a HBCU?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. It was a very stark like transition. The contrast between being at a PWI versus an HBCU, for example, when it comes to outside of the fact that most people at HBCU are black and most of the PWI are white, I just found that there was a certain type of energy that existed at an HBCU that I didn't really feel at University of Maryland. And like, don't get me wrong, at UMD, black UMD, there was a fairly large community of us there.
We had the CSA, the ASA,
BSU, all of that. But to come to Meharry, which was a school that was really everywhere you look, not just your classmates, but also your faculty and your professors, everyone looks like you. So it just had a different feeling, a more sense of like family, a more familiar like sense that, okay, these are all people who, while we may not have like known each other prior to coming here, we all share common experiences.
Right.
And that's not something that always exists at PWI.
Well said, well said. We all know that professional school is very rigorous. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
How do you manage the rigors and demands of dental school?
So how I do it, I just know when to take breaks, because one thing about me, man, is like I've never been the type of student where it's like, oh, I push myself past what I know that I can do. For example, like I've never been a night person. I would much rather wake up at like 4 or 5 a.m. and study for something as opposed to pulling an all-nighter. Like to this day, I haven't pulled an all-nighter.
Okay.
I will always choose my bed.
Yeah.
I'll always choose my bed. But no, but to answer your question seriously though, I would say that for me, managing like the rigors is just all about like how I handle my time and also prioritizing things. So because there's always a lot going to be going on in dental school, so it's just a matter of like, okay, what like is the most important task to accomplish right now, and then go from there.
And you kind of spoke on this a little bit about studying in the mornings. So what study techniques have you found worked really well for you in dental school?
Yeah, so I'm a very old-fashioned person. So, I'm very old-fashioned. So you really cannot go wrong that pen and paper.
Okay.
It's never going to lead you astray. Yeah. Like for me, I had an iPad, and what I would do is, when the professors would post their lecture slides, I would download it to my iPad or to my computer, and then like highlight things, make diagrams and everything. But when it came to the relevant information that I needed to know, that's the information that I would write down, not on the iPad, but like on actual paper. I don't know what it is about like writing on an iPad or typing notes versus writing on paper, but it's something where it's like it translates to your brain in a way that helps you remember it more.
I agree 1,000%. I'm a pen and paper type of guy too. Yeah, white paper. I get the white sheet of paper and I be writing it out.
Exactly, and I write it over and over and over sometimes until I remember. So yeah.
Okay. So how have you found? Because you talked about this about time balancing and not pushing yourself overboard. How do you balance academics, clinical work, and personal life in dental school?
How do I balance it? I tend to allot times for the things that matter to me. So for example, like music is a big component of my life. Like I have a few of my instruments here in Nashville, my guitar, my bass guitar, and my ukulele. And
a ukulele.
Yeah, ukulele, like little Hawaiian song. So basically what I did is that I created what I like to call my woosah corner in my apartment. I put a nice like red Sherpa rug down and everything. And in this corner, it's just for my music. Yeah. In this corner, I don't allow any type of schoolwork because, I need to give myself time to do things that I actually enjoy. And honestly, with all the rigors of school, like academics and different like leadership positions you may have, there's always something going on. Yes. And it's very like draining. It can be tiring. Yeah. So you really do have to, like, sometimes you have to force yourself to do things that you actually enjoy doing. Right. And honestly, in the grand scheme of things, once you do that, it actually helps, in my experience, to accomplish the other tasks, like the academic related tasks. It helps you to do them better because you allowed yourself time to do things that were not school related. So yeah, to go back to your question, how I like balance everything is that I incorporate time for myself, because when I don't do that, then I lose all balance. Because balance, to me, in my opinion, the key to having like a good like work like life balance is to make sure that you put in time for yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
And it really sounds like to me that you set boundaries for yourself.
Yeah, you have to.
You set boundaries for yourself. You have a space in your apartment where you literally go and that's your de-stress corner, and you go and play music. Like, that's just literally like balance and boundaries right there in itself.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. As you had alluded to already, you know, if you don't have boundaries, you can get burnt out. You can get overran and you just feel overwhelmed. So how do you stay motivated during challenging times in dental school?
It wasn't always easy, you know, because whether it was like first year of school when I was making that transition to just a rigor difference, or second year when I was doing lab work like till like 9 p.m. every night, it's really hard to sometimes stay motivated. But what's helped me is just remembering why I'm actually here and keeping my eye on like the end goal. Because all the stuff, whether medical or dental school or any type of school, really, like law school, PT, anything, it's like everything that you do between the however many years, you just have to remember that this is just stuff that you just have to do in order to get to where you want to be. Yeah. So I just have to continue reminding myself of that. Like, yeah, Malik, this kind of sucks right now. You know, you're studying for boards and it's like 11 o'clock and you just now like about to start studying. But it's also like I have to tell myself, Malik,
the bigger picture.
Yeah, the bigger picture. Like, you have to go through this in order to get to where you want to be.
Right.
So that's all. That's all. Like, that worked for me. Just telling myself that.
That makes sense. If you don't mind sharing, what is your why?
My why?
Yeah.
For
dentistry.
Powerful question. So outside of what I said earlier about you know, pursuing the field because of the impact that it has on others, just through their smile alone, for me, my why for pursuing dentistry is because I feel as if this particular profession will allow me to not only like affect many lives for the better, but also to incorporate my own like already existing strengths into what I'm going to be doing on a daily basis. For example, dentistry is very artistic. Like, everything in dentistry, it has something to do with art. Whether it's like you're doing a filling on a person and you have to like fill a tooth back up to match the contour of what their original tooth shape was, or if you're making a complete denture for a patient and you're having to, you know, file out some teeth, choose shade for their like gums and all these things. It's very like artistic. And for me, ever since I was young, I've always had a kind of artistic sense of like life, like mindset of life. So even when I was in like middle school, like I always enjoyed like drawing and painting. And now as I've, you know, gotten older, I'm not necessarily as much into like the physical arts, but I'm very much so into like the musical arts. So for me, dentistry was like, wow, here's the whole profession where outside of, you know, the like monetary gain and all that stuff, this is literally a profession that will allow me to tap into my inner artistic like self. And it just made sense to me. Awesome.
And I feel like that's a great way to like use your work to appeal to your passion and your outlets.
Absolutely.
And dentistry can do that for you.
Absolutely.
What are some of the common challenges that dental students face?
First thing that comes to mind is imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome being that, you know, oftentimes when you're in dental school, you just kind of ask yourself, like, do I deserve to be here? Ask yourself, did I make the right choice? Am I able to do this? That's, I would say, the biggest challenge that people face. And it's a challenge that oftentimes will present itself like in different ways, but it carries throughout dental school. For some people after like the first like year, they're like, okay, yeah, I'm in my right career. But for others, it's like, you know, every now and then they have their doubts. So outside of imposter syndrome being a challenge, I would also say another challenge for dental students is like time management. Time management in the sense that you're busy like every day. And 8 to 5, like at least as a 3rd and 4th year student, you're going to be busy in clinics and class 8 to 5 like every day. So out when you're done with whatever you have to do during the school, you also have stuff that you have to do after hours as well. So
it never stops.
That's what I'm saying. It never stops. So it's like, it's hard to, you know, the point that I was making earlier, you have to literally force yourself to do things for your, like, that you enjoy. Because if you don't, then school will literally like consume your entire life. So that's a really hard challenge that I think any dental student you talk to can relate to. And then outside, well, kind of relating to that, when it comes to time management, is feeling like you are kind of stuck in time. Yeah, the reason I say that is because a lot of my classmates and just any really dental professional or even like medical, I'm sure everyone can relate when I say sometimes I look at the people who I went to college with and I'm like, wow, they're living their life. They're just living. They in Turks and Caicos. You know what I'm saying?
Traveling,
they're living
children.
Their best life.
Yes.
And here I am, dusty.
Struggling.
I'm in the lab, stressed. I don't have any food in my fridge. All these things, right? So just a challenge is like literally just having to remind yourself that, Malik, while your friends from college are doing great things, you're also doing something great. Right. And it just so happens for you, your vision of like doing what they're doing is just going to be a little delayed because you got to get through these next like few years. But yeah, that's another challenge that I would say dental students have.
Delayed gratification, man.
Yeah.
Delayed gratification.
Very true.
So in school, what tools and resources have you used and seemed to be most helpful with your academic success?
With academic success, I used tutoring.
Okay.
I used tutoring services at SED.
Okay.
Before COVID, like when I was here for MHS and a little bit of, well, not even D1 year, because D1 year was like COVID. But during MHS.
And MHS is what?
Oh, MHS Master of Health Science. It's a 1-year master's program. That's kind of like a, what's the word? Like gateway pipeline program. Post-bac into dental school and med school. But I used tutoring services that were really helpful. Outside of like the tutoring services though, I would go to some professors' office hours because I feel like we've all experienced like when you're in a classroom and you have a question, but you don't want to be that person to ask. So I would, pull up on my professor sometimes and just like sit with them. And I found those moments to be really helpful.
And that's a good way for them to get to know you too. Right? Like it's a recommendation for you too.
Yeah, definitely need that.
Awesome. So you kind of talked about this already. I don't know if you do anything else outside of like the pen and the paper, but how do you prepare for your examinations and clinical assessments? Because I know dentistry is very hands-on and you guys are always in the clinic and always in the lab. So how do you prepare for simulations like that?
So when it comes to preparing for, I'll start with like the clinical aspect. So with dental school, D1 year, it's like a lot of basic science courses that you take, and you take some like dental related classes as well. D2 year, you're taking classes that are basically all about dentistry, but you're also in the lab. When I say you're in the lab, I mean that you're like practicing your hand skills, practicing, cutting like a cavity preparation, practicing doing a filling, practicing doing a root canal, practicing doing a crown preparation, practicing making complete dentures. You're doing all this practicing and you're being graded for it, of course. And then D3 years when you enter the clinic, and when you enter the clinic, it's kind of scary because you go from working on plastic teeth to working on like real live like patients and their teeth. So with a plastic tooth, if you mess up, it's like, okay, take the tooth out, put a new one in, but on a real person, you can't do that. So, so it's kind of like,
and they can feel pain.
That's what I'm saying. So learning, just having to prepare for getting into the clinics. You really just had to go off of like the knowledge and the training that you receive the first 2 years. But also when you get to the clinic, it's not like they kind of do just throw you in there. But like, you still you're going to be working under your attending's license. So it's kind of just, it helps in that sense to guide you along, because at the end of the day,
they're liable.
Basically. Yeah. And then to prepare for like the more academic portion, for me, everything comes back to time management. It really does. But to sum it up, to prepare for the academic portions of like dental school, whether it's like a quiz or an exam, just giving myself enough time for whatever the like assessment was. So if it's a quiz, I'm probably not going to give myself as much time as I would like a final exam, but still just knowing myself, knowing how much I know the material, and then giving myself the appropriate amount of time as needed.
Okay. Got you.
Yeah.
So I know, going back, if we could just think back in undergrad, Cameron and I, we started the Minority Males in Medicine Networking event symposium, and I think you attended maybe one or two of those events. How important is it now in the field of dentistry to network and to build your people resources, I would say?
I would say it's really important. Honestly, like, it's a necessity to network while you're in dental school, because, during the 4 years of dental school, you're going to be in the classes, you're going to be in the clinics, but also outside of that, you're probably going to want to get some experience outside of whatever school that you're in. So it really does help to network and know, like, okay, who are the local dentists that I can like talk to for mentorship, for guidance. Oh, if you're interested in going to a specialty, who are the specialists around that I could talk to, maybe shadow them one day, so that I can, really get more hands-on, face-to-face exposure. And I would just say networking is really crucial, because it allows you to go further into what it is that you want to do, but also it just allows you to gain more and make the most out of your dental school experience.
What are 3 tips or advice you would give to someone who is looking to build a professional network and want to, get up their name out there, build their own personal brand? And
3 tips.
Yes. You can think about it.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think I have it. So I think the first tip that I would say for anyone who's trying to build their brand or like, put themselves out there is, before you do any of that, create a plan. Like, create a plan of action. So like, okay, write down, okay, what are my goals for like this brand, or what are my goals for reaching out to this person? And then once you create that plan, then act on it. So that's the first tip. The second tip, and this, shouldn't even be a tip, but like, sometimes people, it doesn't come innate to all people. Be professional. Be professional when you are approaching other people. When you're approaching, messaging, shadowing, always be professional.
Don't talk to them like you're talking to your friends.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, present yourself in the way that, present yourself in your best way, because...
And be authentic too.
Like, absolutely. Like, don't be fake. Like, don't be fake at all, but also just be mindful of like why you're there, and be mindful as that whoever is helping you is doing you a favor. So just, be grateful and just be respectful. And then the third tip I would say, for anyone who's trying to create their brand, is it's okay to be a little unique. Be unique in what you're doing. For me, I guess my like brand is my dental bait, chasing Dr. Leaks. And for me, I just remember when I was in college at UMD, all the dental pages that I would look at on Instagram, they're all like the same. Like, everything like they made dental school look so fun, and like they glorified it and everything and all of that. And I was like, okay, when I make my page, I'm gonna keep it real, right? So a lot of people have commented, like, over the years, of course, on my content that I posted, saying that they really just appreciate how genuine I am and how like authentic like my content is, you know, because everyone knows that dental school is hard, and everyone knows that, like, dental school, you're going to be doing this, that, and the third. But what really, I think, helps other people is when you show like in between like the cracks, you know, you show like what
not
people
just the successes, but
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Show the failures, show like
the bounce back.
Yeah, you feel me? Like you show everything. And I don't know, it's just, you know, you need to be unique, because I think when a person's unique in their brand, that's what really like brings attention to it. So yeah, those are my 3 tips.
People gravitate to authenticity.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
So I know you had mentioned dentistry, you know, you were a little concerned about working in people's mouths and like how that would go about. So how have you over time built up your patient communication skills, and what advice would you have for someone with handling that?
Oh yeah, that's a really good question. I think over time I just got into my groove. Let's put it like that. When you enter clinics, I was terrified. I was so scared going to clinics, because I was like, dang, I don't know what's gonna happen. But no, like once you start meeting people, for me, I've always been a people person. Like, you know, when people talk about being an introvert versus extrovert, or like a sociable type of person, I've always like enjoyed. Yeah, I've always been more extroverted. I've always been the type where I enjoy meeting new people. Yeah. So for me, honestly, it was kind of a downside, because when I would meet a new patient for the first time, I found that more times than like a few, like my attendings, my supervisors would have to like walk by and like tap me and basically say like, you know, like, because I'll be chatting with my patients, like talking about all these things not related to dentistry, you know. But honestly though, like I think that kind of is good for some people, because when people come to the dentist, they're like, you know, not everyone likes coming to the dentist. Most don't. So it helps in my experience when you make the patient feel comfortable. And that really just helps when it comes to like their treatment as well, because you build that rapport, you know? Yeah.
Nice. What would you say are some key qualities and skills that you believe are essential for success as a future dentist?
Okay. I would say qualities and skills. You need to be a person who has compassion for others. I say compassion because, you know, people are going to come to your office and people are going to be sitting in your chair, and everyone has a different life story. You know, I've had patients who would come and tell me about their kids and how, you know, their kids are like acting up, or how their kids are with their like, you know, their divorced, like, you know, significant other, like all that stuff. And I've had patients come tell me about how they're battling with like health issues, and, you know, patients who have like family issues, or whether it's like transportation issues, so they relate, like just having compassion for your patients, because, you know, for us on our side of things, we sometimes just view it as, okay, a patient is in the chair and you're just ready to get the work done. But that's really not what it's all about. It really is about, you know, you have a patient in your chair, like get to know them a little bit, and like the compassion really helps when it comes to understanding like where they're coming from. So quick, I feel like we're sometimes too quick, honestly, to like judge and say, oh, this patient's always late, or like, oh, this patient like always has an attitude, but you don't know what that patient just had to go through, you know, you don't know where that patient's coming from. So all of that, I would say compassion is really a key like component of being a dental professional, because without it, you know, not only will the patients not like be comfortable, but I don't think a person can like survive as a good dental professional without having compassion. Like if they have nothing else, they need compassion. Outside of the compassion, I would say another quality to have is patience. Yeah, definitely patience, because some days will be better than others. You know, there have been some times I did dental work, I'm like, oh yeah, this is like A quality. But there be some days this may be like B quality, you know? But right now, at least as a dental student, one of the biggest things that I had to learn over the years is that I'm not perfect. And no matter how much I think I may know something, there's always going to be something that could go left. You know, in the lab, in the second year, when you're in the lab working on cutting like cavity preparations or doing crowns. Everything that we're taught is from like the ideal perspective. But when you go down to the clinic, nothing is ideal. So it's almost like, I don't know, to put it into comparison, drawing, I don't know if it's gonna make sense, but like drawing like a circle, right?
Yeah.
In the lab upstairs, it's like you're given like a stencil or something where you can actually draw a nice circle. But when you get to the clinic, there's no stencil. But you're still expected to draw a circle, if that makes sense. So it's really just like having patience with yourself, and, you know, knowing that if you do, let's say, like slip up, or if you make a mistake, being able to acknowledge it and not get too beaten up about it, and like know how to move on and learn from it. Yeah, so just being patient and is important for oneself. Having compassion is important for oneself, but also for the patient experience. And yeah, those are the two that like come to mind right now.
Okay. So compassion and patience.
Correct.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
So with the field evolving, dental field is always evolving, the dentistry field, the medical field. How do you stay up to date? How do you keep yourself in the know of the advancements in the field, so the trends that's happening?
So one thing that I like do, honestly, social media. Yeah, because a lot of times you see on like dental pages, not like blogs, but like actual like organization pages on
dental
like,
society.
Yeah, dental societies. Like you see this information that's presented about like a different material that's being used, or like a different way of like anesthetizing a patient, like all these things. Also, what helps is, you know, signing up for, you know, those like monthly newsletters that will come sometimes through your email. It also helps to go physically to like conferences. And at like different conferences, like they often have like, for lack of a better like term right now, like a fair, where they have different organizations or companies come and have their different like top of the art, like new materials or new technologies that they want people to try. So all of that is just ways to keep stay in the loop, really.
Gotcha. Speaking of trends on social media, recently I've been seeing a lot of videos and talk about veneer techs and people who are going to veneer techs, basically who are like getting certifications. They may not have gone to dental school, but they are advertising and marketing themselves as people who can do veneers. And can you explain a little bit about that and your thoughts on it, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah. Veneer techs. So honestly, with veneer techs, this may be like a very controversial opinion, but I understand like not only the veneer techs, but I also understand those who go to veneer techs. As a like, you know, dental student right now who's about to be going to residency and graduating and everything, you know, I've taken multiple courses on like, you know, different like, of course, dental procedures, but also when it comes to like dental ethics and knowing like what is right versus what's wrong. It all kind of comes back to like knowing the patient and being understanding of where the patient's coming from. Like dentistry is very like patient-centered. So everything comes down to the patient. And a lot of these veneer techs and people who go to veneer techs, if there's nothing else that I learned in my 4 years of being in dental school, people who go to the dentist, they really only care about two things. One, they don't want to hurt. And two, they want to look good. Like everyone is about their aesthetics, right? So another thing that I have, like I'm not blind to, is the fact that dental care is expensive. So when people are going to the dentist and let's say they need a whole lot of dental work done, they can't afford it. But let's say like their teeth are like looking chipped or black or whatever, they can't afford to go to the dentist. And yes, you're going to have dental professionals who tell you, well, the longer you wait, the worse it's going to get, which is very true. The longer you wait, the more expensive it's going to get. If you feel like, oh, you have a little sensitivity in your tooth and you don't treat it, you don't go see your dentist, you're like, oh, it's whatever. You know, the longer you wait, that little sensitivity is going to turn into pain. And then that pain will mean you're going to need a root canal. But if you can afford the root canal, then you have to get the tooth extracted. So it's like one of those things, right? But I don't know, maybe it's just me being, maybe I just like view things from a different angle, because like whether it's like my background in public health or just being more of a understanding person. But a lot of times people, they don't have the financial resources for dental care. So for these people, they may not know like where the current status of their oral health is. And for these people, they will seek any method or any avenue for them to get their goal, which is to have a nice smile, right?
And sometimes those smiles don't look too nice though.
No, I know.
Some of these veneer techs they be ripping people off.
Oh yeah, no.
I mean, like, you get what you pay for, and I understand that from a public health background. I have a public health background. I get it. The cost, the accessibility, it's limited, right? It's definitely on the higher end side. But I feel like what the issue is probably like the knowledge gap of like lay people or just people in the public who may not understand like your mouth, your oral care is also linked to your physical well-being and to your overall health. Like, it's connected in different ways.
It is.
And so like if you just want to slap some nice pretty white teeth on your teeth and you got a cavity and you don't take care of that first, then it's, like you said, it's going to result into higher costs, more trouble in the long run. So it's one of those things, like, you want to be compassionate and sensitive, but I feel like it's just really maybe bringing more awareness and like education to folks about it.
No, absolutely. At the end of the day, it all comes down to patient education. A lot of times people just don't know. They don't know that, they have to brush, or they should brush their teeth twice a day, not just once. They don't know why they need to floss. Like, they don't know, So when they don't know, they don't do it. And then when they don't do it, that's when the problems arise. But then when the problems arise, they can't afford to go get the problems treated, but they still want to like put like a nice little smile. But like you said, putting the nice little veneer on it doesn't fix the actual problem. And for all of us dental professionals, people are like laughing about the whole veneer techs and all that stuff, but like, it's actually very concerning, the amount of people who are going to these veneer techs, because it's like, while they may be giving you what it is that you think you need right now, which is a nice, pretty smile, there is still that underlying like caries, that underlying like bacteria that is in your mouth that is just being covered by a little, like, I don't even know what material the veneer tech people use, but like, it's being covered, and that's not actually fixing the problem. And over time, while the person who has a nice, new, pretty smile may think that all is well, little do they know that bacteria is growing and growing and growing. So it's hard, but that's what, I don't know. Like, the veneer tech situation, man, it's to the veneer techs out there, like how I said, I understand them as well, because they know that people just want to look good. So they are going to charge money and present it in a way like,
they go on tours.
Listen, come to me if you want a nice, pretty smile. Come to me if you want like pearly white teeth, like you're in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Of course, people gonna go, because it's like, that's what they know people want.
It's a trend right now. It's hot. Trend. Veneers are hot.
Yes, it's hot until they fall out.
Until they fall out. But all right, I know you're about to graduate soon. You're going to go into residency. And how long is residency typically?
2 years. Well, it depends on the type of program, but my program is 2 years.
Okay, so shortly thereafter, you're going to be soon a full-blown practicing dentist.
Yes, sir.
So how are you mentally preparing now for that? Like, how are you beginning to navigate that transition into starting your career?
Yeah, so I think that it's been a pretty cool experience for me, because, I'm for the first time in a long time, I'm actually being able to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
When you're in school, you don't know what's going on. Like, it's just dark, right? There's no type of light. But as I graduate in what day is it? It's the 12th. I graduate in 6 days.
Wow.
I graduate in 6 days, man. So it's like, I can see after, May 18th, by law, I'll be like Dr. Malik Walters. Like right now, student doctor, whatever. But like by law, I will be Dr. Malik Walters, right? Yeah. And that's a cool thought to have, man. But when it comes to like just how I'm mentally preparing myself, I think I've just had to have moments where I just kind of sit and reflect and say, Malik, you're about to enter a world that you are not familiar with, in the sense of, for my entire life, bro, like I've been a student. And while in the residency, I'll be getting training. I will have a certain, like, call it status to myself, where it's like, okay, Malik, you're going to be a dentist. Like, what's up?
During y'all residency, do y'all get paid?
Yes.
Okay.
My program, yeah, but not all programs.
Not all programs. Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, just telling myself, Malik, you're about to be working, like you're no longer, a student, so
it's Dr. Walters.
Doctor. So I'm excited for it. I think just to prepare myself, I've just been, how I just do whenever you approach any new world or any new any new experience, you just, ask for help when need be. So I've been, relying or leaning on my mentors, who are like in the specialty that I'm going into, to ask them for, hey, how should I be doing this? Just ask for just general guidance, because it kind of all goes back to the point about networking, is knowing the good people who will help you along your journey.
And how did you meet your mentors?
Different ways, but in summary, through mutuals. Okay. So whether it was
connections.
Connections. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you have plans on opening up your own dental practice in the future?
I think so. Maybe. Time will tell, though.
Okay.
I haven't really decided yet if I want to go with the private practice route and like own my own practice, or if I want to do like a joint practice where I own a practice with someone else, or if I just want to like work for somebody. I haven't really decided yet.
Okay. All right. Well, we're winding down. I wanted to see if you had any last minute advice that you wanted to give to any aspiring dental student or current dental students out there.
Oh yeah. I got advice for days. I would say, you said for aspiring dental students?
For the pre-dents, and then if they're dental students too.
Okay. So I would say, for the pre-dental students out there, the biggest advice that I can give you is to try. And the reason I say try, it sounds so like what do you mean try? But I feel like the theme of my, dental school life and dental school experience, it just all comes back to the fact that I tried. Even when I applied for dental school, like that whole like health advising packet we have to fill out. And one of the advisors at Maryland told me that she thinks I should withdraw my application and do a 1 to 2 year post-bac and reapply. And I just remember in the moment, I was like, I'm not gonna do that, because I had just done all the work. So all that to say, bro, for all pre-dental students out there, I'll just say try, whether it's taking the DAT or if it's applying to school, just give it your best shot, because the worst that anyone can tell you is no. But as long as you know that you tried and gave it your best shot, you should still feel a certain sense of pride and accomplishment in that. So I would say try. I would also say don't let any type of negativity, whether it's coming from your family, your friends, your mentors, your advisors, don't let anything deter you from what it is that you know that you want to do. And then outside of that, for all the pre-dental students, just know that it is possible. The current, I know this is for all people, but when it comes to, minorities who are pursuing dentistry, specifically Blacks and African Americans, we're needed in the field. The current, as of, I think it was 2022, the current percentage of Black dentists in America is less than 4%.
Wow.
3.8 if I'm remembering correctly. So when it comes to the pre-dental students out there, you know, while there aren't many of us like in the field right now, we're still here, you know. So everything ties together when I talked about mentorship, when I talked about networking. If you know someone who, whether it's a current dental student or a dentist, who you feel can guide you and help you along your journey, don't be afraid to reach out, because at the end of the day, man, like none of us got to where we are without the help of someone else. It's like if someone says that they got here by themselves, like they just lying. They're lying. So it's okay to ask for help. And then for the current dental students, for, you know, the first and second year students specifically out there who are watching this video, just know, you know, I ain't gonna lie to y'all, it doesn't get better. It does not get better. No, it doesn't get better. No, because everyone's like, oh, like, does it get easier after this year, that year? Every year has its challenges. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Every year has its challenges. Like, first year is crazy because it's just like all these classes. Second year is crazy because you're in the lab like every night. Third year is crazy because it's just you're doing everything. You're in class, you're in clinic, you're doing group projects, you're starting to apply for residency, figuring out your life. And then fourth year is crazy because you're trying to get out. You're trying to finish things up. So every year has its challenges, but just know that like it's doable and that you will be okay. And just rely and lean on, you know, whether it's your classmates, your friends, the people who you know have been supporting you, and they will continue to support you. And the biggest thing that I always like to tell people is put yourself first. Like, you have to put yourself first when it comes to, you know, your desires, or put yourself first when it comes to, you know, your schedule. You know, don't overwork yourself. You know, it's okay to take breaks. And that's something I feel like a lot of professional students don't understand. It's okay to take breaks. Like, if it's a Friday night and you've been studying and doing your work all week, it's okay to go out, like go have fun. If it's a Sunday morning, you know, after church, you know, you want to go to church, want to go to brunch, do something fun, you know, because that's really taking breaks. People don't believe me when I say this, but taking breaks is really like, if not the most important thing, one of the most important things that you have to do when you're in professional school is take breaks. Because like, if you don't take breaks, that's when people talk about burnout and people dropping out and all those things. Yeah. So yeah, just put yourself first and all will be well.
Y'all heard the man. This is student Dr. Malik Walters, bro. I appreciate you coming on here and spending time with me to just talk and give back to the people and let them hear more about your story. I wish you much great success moving on in your career, and congratulations once again on graduating, brother.
Hey, thank you.
Where can the people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at Chasing Dr. Leaks. That's like chasing, like, you know, you're like chasing, I don't know, a dog or something. And then Dr. Leaks.
I'm going to link it down below so you can find
that works. Yeah, Chasing Dr. Leaks.
Perfect. Well, you guys heard it from the man himself.
Yeah.
Please make sure you all follow, subscribe, give this video a like, share it out to your friends and family. And until the next time, peace out. Remember, it's not a marathon or a sprint. It's a mission to medicine.
Hey, like that.
Man.
Yeah. That was smooth.
It's solid.
That was smooth. Yeah. Solid. Hey, that was one take too. That was.
I don't do a whole bunch of takes, bro.
I see.
We go straight through with it.
Okay. No, that was.